filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. I move for approval of today's agenda. Is there a first?
So,
Is there a second?
second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda has been approved. Approval of the minutes of last month's meeting. Is there a first?
So moved.
We have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The minutes have been approved. Approval of the consent agenda. Please note that items on the consent agenda will be voted on a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. Commissioners, y'all reviewed the consent agenda. Y'all have any items you wish to remove?
Yes, I'd like to remove item F.
F, request for a loading zone on the south side of Commerce Street.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have a question about items H and I, because they're excuse me, not those two. It's D and E.
D and
They
E.
have the same address, but two different parking management companies, and just wondering what that is.
Yeah.
Well, I might as well pull one too, John. I mean,
Oh.
Chair, if you don't mind.
Yes.
A.
A? Okay. All right. So we need if we could please have a motion to remove item A, D, E, and F, please.
Not H and I.
No.
No, that was a mistake, sorry.
All right. We have a motion to remove A, D, E, and F. Is there a second?
Second.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, aye, okay. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Thank you. All right, if we could have a motion to remove item A, D, E, F, and I from the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
So moved. We have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Those items have been removed. I'm going to now read the consent agenda as modified. Item 2019M005AB001, a request for the abandonment of the right-of-way and easement along Alley 1863 from J Street northward to Alley 1867, requested by St. George Coptic Church, applicant and owner. Authorize a 60-foot passenger loading zone only on 2nd Avenue South at the Mumbrian on the east side as part of the 151 First Avenue development requested by KCI Technologies. Okay, let me get. Item G is the next one, okay. Request for a valet zone at 1808 Haynes Street requested by Parking Management Company. And request for a valet zone at 500 Fifth Avenue South requested by Parking Management Company. And J, and acknowledge Council Member Angie Henderson who's here, a modified speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour on Hobbs Road from Hillsborough Pike to Linwood Boulevard requested by our present council member. All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
So moved.
So moved. We have a first.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's been approved. Council member, you have your lower speed limits. Okay. Item A. Chip, you had some comments concerning
Yes.
this one, Mr. Knopf.
Yeah, the applicant has requested an indefinite deferral. Not sure of the circumstances, but I'm requesting it on their behalf.
Okay. Can a member of the commission make a request to defer item A indefinitely? We need to take these up one at a time. Okay. So we have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor indefinitely deferring item A?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, deferred. Okay, item D, request for a valet zone at 201 21st Avenue North during the hours of 4 p.m. to midnight, requested by Parking Management Company. Then we have item E, is request for a valet zone at 201 25th Avenue North, the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., requested by Premier Parking. I think the commissioner had a question about that.
Yeah, I just wondered because it was under two different management companies and what's it for and.
Okay, according to the code, we issue a permit for each of the valet operations. There's two different companies that are going to be operating valets at each of these locations. One is for a restaurant and one is for a hair salon place, and that's why it's listed twice
Okay,
on the agenda.
all right. So I assume the first one is for a restaurant and the second one's for the salon?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Williams, would you like to make a motion concerning item D and E?
Move for approval.
All right. We have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor of approving the valet zones on 25th Avenue? Please, aye. Any opposed? Okay, been approved. Okay, item F, request for a loading zone on the south side of Commerce Street at 4th Avenue North, requested by, I guess that's Cigna Network. Who can provide background on that?
Yeah.
You had a question.
Well, and my concerns are just that this, there's a planned bikeway coming in on Commerce Street, I think this summer, spring, so I think this might conflict with that, so.
We have talked to the applicant in regards to this loading zone, and they're willing to defer until we see what is the process as far as the bike lanes go.
Okay.
So we can request a deferral.
Ms. Byrd, would you like to request the deferral?
Yeah, can we defer until? do we do
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely? And they
Let's
can-
do an indefinite deferral until we see how the bike lanes progress.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll make a motion for an indefinite deferral.
we have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's been deferred. Item I, request for a valet zone at 154 2nd Avenue North, requested by Vaseline Company. There's a member of the audience that had concerns about that. You please state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Eddie Garcia, Sugar Creek Carriages. Cam has joined me in case I had to ask her, but as you all may be familiar, 2nd Avenue already has a valet stand from Melting Pot at 166 2nd Avenue down through and including the Brazilian restaurant, I believe. Adding this is going to add unequivocally some congestion to 2nd Avenue that's already a contested and congested area. And I've asked Cam to join me. She's one of our principal drivers of our carriages. I've got some pictures of various consecutive weekends where it does get built up. And I think extending it for an additional, probably half a football field of valet stands is going to add more to that issue and probably just rise to the level of more calls to non-emergency number for Metro just to deal with it. We have a very difficult situation with the valet stands in different areas that I'll speak to in our last item on the agenda tonight. But it's very difficult to get through, much even worse with the Ubers and the Lyfts just blatantly illegally using these stops. So my comment is just adding and extending this valet stand is going to add to the congestion on 2nd Avenue from that stretch.
Thank you. Ms. Marshall, Ms. Knoll, can y'all speak? How many valet stands are there on 2nd Avenue?
Currently on 2nd Avenue, we have 2 valet stands. This will increase the current zone that is installed at 160 2nd Avenue North. There is a fire hydrant and a crosswalk prior to this zone, so therefore it is an increase to the valet zone to serve another business that will be utilizing it. There's a gentleman here with us today from Vaseline Company, if you would like to speak to him in regards to the valet.
Yes, I think that would be helpful to the members of the commission. And please state your name for the record, please, sir.
My name is Clay Cobble.
Turn your,
Is this on? My name is Clay Cobble. I represent Vaseline Company.
okay, please, can you tell us what your proposal is, please, sir?
Yes, there's a single meter spot directly in front of 154 Second Avenue North for a single parking spot right there on the street. And we are a hotel that just opened at 154 Second Avenue North, and we are simply asking that that 1 meter spot be converted into a valet spot for the hotel. You can see it right there, the meter.
Is that the meter with the car parked in it right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is your entrance where the red is?
Yes, it is just to the right of that car.
Okay. All right, commissioners, any questions, comments?
What's before that? Like right now, in that picture, there's a big truck. Is it a loading zone?
So there's a fire hydrant right there, so really there's not supposed to be anything parked there.
There's a fire hydrant and a crosswalk at this location prior to where we will be installing the valet lane where the one parking meter is located.
One car at a time.
Exactly. If anything, I think it might help the congestion because there won't be a car parked there full-time.
Has the city considered, it seems like there's a lot of dropping off and picking up. Has the city considered a public loading zone on Second Avenue? Are there any other Lyft, Uber loading zones? 'Cause
There has not been a request for a public loading zone on Second Avenue. There is a loading zone that is down closer to Broadway in front of the Wild Horse Saloon, but that is basically for freight loading at that location.
I will say in the semi-recent past, we've been talking to the merchants, and it's kind of gotten quiet just because we all get busy, but we've all talked about redoing Second Avenue as a whole, not just piecemeal here and there like we're talking about. Kind of like we do on Broadway, maybe some kind of loading zone like that. But to answer your question, no, we haven't talked about a passenger loading zone or an app loading zone that they call it sometimes. But it's on people's plates, but we just haven't gotten to it yet. But he's right, that one spot sitting there has caused us issues in the past because people see that car parked there and they park where the Cisco truck is, and they park too close to the crosswalk, which is a 30-foot barrier. You're not supposed to park within 30 feet of the crosswalk, 15 feet for a fire hydrant. So it's supposed to be a dead zone, and then this would just extend that up to that tree and then make a valet zone after that.
Who enforces, so it's a one-spot valet zone, but if on a regular basis, we go out there and valets have cars lined up down there, blocking the crosswalk and the fire hydrant, where does the enforcement come from? Is that through?
The enforcement comes from the police department. Also, Public Works has a staff of 5 enforcement officers, and we can also enforce these things.
The true enforcement is through the permit process. If they start getting complaints, and we've brought them in here to you before, where we start having to talk about revoking permits. And please use your mics. Some of you aren't using your mics, and so.
And there is a code in the books that addresses valet violations to where we can bring them back to the commission to have permits revoked.
Any other comments, commissioners? Ms. Williams, I know you're a downtown merchant. Any?
Yeah, right there. I agree that there is some backup right there. We have the loading zone that's at 160. I mean, there's a loading zone that's in front of the valet stand that's been established at 166. And then we have the valet stand, which is busy. And then this. I'm a little bit thinking that we might want to look at a plan for Second Avenue and maybe just offer a temporary, can we offer a temporary valet permit for this? Or, I mean, just looking at a better solution for this overall.
We do have the option of issuing a temporary permit for 30 days if we need to do that. I did speak with Sergeant Borick at the police department last week, and he's in favor of having that one parking meter removed because he said that presents problems to them on a regular basis.
The temporary permit also goes through this office, so if that's what you would prefer, that's the same to us.
I issue all temporary permits for valets.
And do you have any timeline for, I know with the Second Avenue and everything else going on, is that something that's upcoming, going to be going on with the other conversations about parking, or is that?
Well, I opened my mouth. It's a thought that some of the merchants came up with, as far as it's kind of been piecemealed over the past decade or two, to where we have a valet here and a police parking here, and it's time to start thinking more universal. And I know where you're going with this conversation. We ought to probably start backing up and doing that instead of another piecemeal. But we'll probably need to get the merchants back in a room and talk about what they want to do on Second Avenue, because there's only there's only a certain amount of asphalt, and we all want to use it certain ways. And there's, of course, other plans in the works for multimodal uses too.
So is there a motion concerning the request before us about the valet zone?
I move for a temporary permit to be approved for 30 days, and we'll see how this goes. And
Okay, we have a first.
Let me
Okay,
clarify.
what's,
Temporaries do not need approvals, or you just need to defer or
you want,
approve?
we
Yeah.
could defer this, council?
Okay.
So we could defer this item. Staff can then issue a temporary, and we can come back. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so Ms. Williams, I think I would
Okay.
modify your motion, please, ma'am.
I move for deferral in that case.
Okay, we have a motion for deferral. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, the item's been deferred. Thank you for coming, sir. Appreciate it. Okay. The next item is a deferred item concerning the valet stand at 2526 12th Avenue South. I don't see the council member here, and this item's been around for several months.
I received an email from the council member prior to coming to the meeting, and he's recommending approval of this valet.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone like to make a motion to approve this valet stand?
So moved.
We have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the valet stand's been approved. Okay. The other item on the agenda is a discussion of horse carriage operations, including parking hours, hours of operations, and use of loading zones, requested by Mr. Eddie Garcia, Sugar Creek Carriages. Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is my first meeting in front of you, so I wanted to speak on the 12th Avenue South, but it's a moot point at this point. On this issue, I understand it's come before you in the past. The three main issues, and I guess in the order of priority, the first one that's important would be the ability to operate from 10 to 3. There's a sign now that allows it. I think the ordinance is not just silent, but it doesn't speak of that opportunity. The sign in front of Hard Rock, it's 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I think it's maybe just a gentle lady's handshake, 10 to 3. We'd like to codify that and have that opportunity for our company, as the other companies that are permitted, to be able to operate from 10 to 3, since that opportunity exists. And we can get to specifics or answer any questions that the commission may ask about it. The other issue on loading zone, as you all know, it is an issue that occurs quite frequently with Uber, Lyfts, and now the scooters taking up those areas, errantly just leaving scooters on sidewalks. There's no enforcement. The companies aren't enforcing themselves. So it creates a problem for us, and I can't speak for taxis, Ubers, Lyfts, or other companies, but when we are trying to pick up passengers or drop off passengers, that either this commission can designate the ability for our company and other companies, I guess, to be able to use those loading and unloading zones. I know that in the past, watching some videos, there's been discussion about people versus freight. Freight is important, but I think people are more important. If it were not for the tourism industry, Nashville would be destitute. The newspapers boast about the millions of dollars that our tourists spend in our city, and we certainly welcome them. For us to be able to load and unload in, let's say, if we continue discussions down the road, what areas of Broadway, for example, or 3rd or 2nd, that are loading and unloading that we can designate for us to be able to use in a finite period of time. We definitely self-enforce ourselves. We can't speak for the other carriage companies, but a reasonable period is, I think in the code for parking and traffic, there's not to exceed 3 minutes or not to exceed 5 minutes, and I can't verbatimly quote the section, but it's a point of, can we use the loading and unloading zones for that purpose? Right now, with the nominal number of carriage stands, there's an issue that will be addressed after this one. Sharing, for example, sharing the cabs and carriages on the Hard Rock is a constant abuse. I've sent Mr. Knopf pictures that our drivers are vigilant about taking. Uber, Lyfts, just stop. And it's everywhere in the city. I've driven in Hillsborough Village, I've driven other parts of our city, and they just think that, oh, we're just gonna stop. And it could be the passengers, hey, just drop me off right here, but it's a safety issue. As we discuss the loading and unloading for that specific issue that I mentioned, if we can consider rearranging the designated carriage stands, and I'm sure we're not gonna come to a solution today, but if we can put that on the table to have another discussion so that we can all be able to function as a business and be able to serve not only Nashvillians, but people who visit our city. It's become a huge problem at the Hard Rock. Most of the times I've got pictures of the cab drivers. They can go on a smoke break and the cabs are unattended. If I were a customer and I come upon a cab that's not attended, I'm gonna walk past it. That's not meeting the certificate of public necessity. The other issue is the First Avenue stop. It is constantly being abused by trucks, delivery trucks, and we're talking after the 6 p.m. And Uber, Lyft. I think I've run out of ink cartridges on my Canon printer from printing pictures. We can only self-enforce, and we've done that in a very polite fashion, and what our drivers get is flip off by Uber and Lyft. They're not very cordial, they're not very prudent, and they're not very polite. So it's either us calling Metro, and I've told them, if we can't have enforcement, then video and document it, and just block them. Don't let them out. Because at that point, police will come and issue the citation that needs to be issued. But it's a problem, and it could escalate to a bigger problem if it's not enforced.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for starting the discussion. I see Mr. Fields is here.
Yes, sir.
From the licensing. Maybe you can shed some light, because I know you regulate a lot of these vehicles that are downtown, or you have the unenviable task of attempting to regulate them.
Well, Uber and Lyft, we have no authority over. The state specifically exempted metropolitan government from regulating in any form or fashion. Now, they can't, in terms from my office. Now, the police can write tickets for violations of traffic laws and parking and that sort of thing, but I have no authority over that. As far as the carriage stands, we do know that there's great tension on the stands. We recognize that. There have been a lot of changes in metropolitan Nashville since we started regulating carriages in 2002. So we do know there are changes, and we certainly work with traffic and parking and the police and anyone trying to help alleviate any of the problems that we have.
Commissioners, questions, please.
Mr. Fields, the number of carriages has declined, is that correct?
That is correct.
So how many are we talking about now?
Well, I think by the end of the month, you'll have a total of 3 companies operating 11 carriages.
Other questions? Okay. Okay, Mr. Brown.
How many were there, Mr. Fields, to begin with? carriage?
At one point, we had 5 companies operating 17 carriages.
How come them to drop out because of parking?
I can't speak specifically for each one of the companies. One of the companies, the owner had some health issues, and the other one has not completed. She still has to end the month to renew, but it's my impression she's not going to renew her permit for the year.
Well, is there any movement to make plans for these carriages?
Well, again, they're not our plans to make one way or the other, because we don't, we certainly work with, when we have problems, we're the ones that have to go and try to figure out where can we put them during special events and that sort of thing. One of the biggest problems, we just have such a demand on downtown, and Broadway has changed. As you well know, there are no longer regular loading and unloading for the most part on Broadway, other than we still have a couple of spots that are still loading, but as far as standing, the only stand that I had left to offer was take part of the taxi cab stand on First and convert part of it over to carriages, and then get permission to put them on First Avenue as well at the corner across from Acme in front of Riverfront Park. And again, I didn't take it, but through the Traffic and Parking Commission and staff.
Well, we've been dealing with this for several years, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better.
Traffic continues to grow, new entertainment, other entertainment activities are coming in, many of which I have and the Metropolitan Government has no authority over, which continues to take, whether it's traffic, driving lanes or parking lanes, the downtown congestion grows by the number of people coming to downtown.
Question, Ms. Marshall, how many designated horse carriage areas are there downtown?
Currently, the locations that we have are on Broadway in front of Hard Rock. We have the location on First Avenue across from Acme, and we have one space on Commerce Street at 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
On the one
You have a
for
comment.
Commerce Street, it is completely inaccessible. It is actually metered. Metro has advised us that they will not ticket in tow out of that area. It is continuously used. It's on a hill. And in this discussion, we were requesting to move it from 333 Commerce to 211 in front of the Baker Donaldson building off the hill, because it's on a downward slope on top of it.
Okay. Ms. Marshall, can you speak to that concern, please?
I'm not sure exactly about the 211 Commerce Street location. I think currently that is signed as passenger loading zone.
It's a passenger loading zone.
Yes, that's the way I understand.
But everybody after 6 p.m. or anything, we drove by it on the way here, just uses it pretty much as free parking.
Okay. Because it does seem, this conversation seems to segue some with the conversation we just had about valet stands on downtown, and some issue. I know there's lots of discussion going on in the city about parking and what to do, et cetera. So it seems like this is part of a larger issue that needs to be studied so we can make an evaluation. I mean, that's my observation. I assume that was the reason they came forward, so we could have some enlightenment. Ms. Kern.
Well, and I would also add, I mean, I think the enforcement issue downtown seems to be related to all of this, because if the commission or the licensing commission can't enforce Lyft and Uber, we can't enforce Lyft and Uber. We have no enforcement capabilities apart from the police department. So I think that should be part of the study, is with all of these different uses of the curb, how can the city enforce them?
I would agree. And then, yes, so it's difficult to do enforcement if it's been removed from your authority. That's definitely a problem. Metro Police, any additional comments concerning downtown other than what we know is the obvious?
The obvious is what it is. They prioritize, every officer is prioritized based on the call for service. And obviously the most violent acts are the highest priority of calls. And so on a Friday, a Saturday night, or a special event, the chances of an enforcement action is probably slim and none when you're talking about 150,000 people on one street.
Okay. Mr. Garcia, and so we appreciate y'all coming down here today. I think this has been enlightening particularly as it relates to several other issues. I think it's going to require further study by staff, and then we'll look forward to getting recommendations from them. You may work with staff concerning input so that it can be part of the plan for downtown. Okay. Are there any other items anyone like to bring up? Okay, Mr. Knopf.
Yeah. So my Plan A is not here yet, so Plan B will take over. Just keep an eye on your email boxes over the next month. This parking management thing that you alluded to, the mayor's office or I or Diane or somebody's going to be sending out some information. It's going to be very important to you guys that you can review it before our next meeting. We plan on an agenda item being on next month's agenda topic list. We're not sure what it's going to be yet, but just please keep an eye on your mailbox, and we'll talk about it more as we get there. That's all I have to offer.
All right, that sounds good. All right.
I make a motion,
Yes.
we adjourn?
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, we are adjourned. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.net.